So before I say what this stream was about, I need to lay down the context of what I was going through during this time in my life. One of my friends had recently passed away by suicide, and the last thing that he ever texted me was that I should watch True Detective Season 1, even if it's the last thing he ever says to me. And it was. The first couple seasons of the show follows a detective named Rustin Cole, a man consumed by this thing called nihilism. Throughout the show, we get an insight into his mind, as he reflects on human consciousness, suffering, and the belief that existence itself is a tragic mistake. His worldview suggests that life has no inherent meaning, and that human beings are driven purely by biological impulses rather than any higher purpose. Now, the friend I mentioned who passed away was very much into this kind of philosophy. He was an atheist, open to the idea of potentially something more, but ultimately believed that the human being was connected to only our flesh. He suffered from extreme OCD and believed that human beings did not possess free will. The things that he had told me before he passed, how it's human nature to long for a god, how it's natural for humans to go to war, and how we do not have free will. Of course, these were concepts I were familiar of, but they never hit this hard until now. Before any of this happened, I had a newfound belief in the spiritual world, so a nihilistic worldview wasn't exactly what I was looking for. But after he died, I wanted to see what it had to offer. I guess this newfound intrigue heavily reflected the state of my mind during this period of time. People often indulge in self-destructive behaviors during states of inner turmoil. One night I was dreaming, and I remember walking down a long downwards road. I was approaching an old man. I was unfamiliar with him, but he looked like he was waiting for me, standing still and alone on this wide empty road, looking in my direction. Eventually, I arrived to him, and we had a small conversation, but I don't remember exactly what I said, only what he replied back to me. He said, "If you keep watching those philosophy videos, then you're going to want to kill yourself." Then he told me that there's no point in seeking a world without God. I didn't think much of this dream until midday when I remembered it again. This dream wasn't just a message, it was a warning that if I indulged in the nihilistic philosophy that consumed my friend, then it would take me too. Now, the interpretation of this dream is heavily dependent on what beliefs you ascribe to. With me believing the spiritual world and that being the world beyond the physical, then the interpretation of this dream was a reminder that there is more to existence than meets the eye, and that pursuing this psychological dead end is pointless, just a trap that would take me from this world too soon, and further away from the spiritual growth that I had recently experienced, and onto this pessimistic worldview, trapping me in mental solitude and suppressed to the true extent of the universe. This was a spiritual message, opting me to look away from a shallow existence derived from the soul and onto the truth. However, if you ascribe to the atheist belief, that being we are only connected to our flesh and that our existence ends after our demise, then this was my subconscious begging me not to look into the abyss. That if I step foot into the void, then I'm never coming back. The survival instincts of the mind, using the comforting illusion that is God as a means to push me away from death and continue on existing, an existential coping mechanism. The creature will keep battling if there's hope to be saved. When pushed to its limits, your subconscious will act on survival, hurdling everything it can to keep you living, because even your subconscious fears the void. I've already made a video addressing the idea that this whole spiritual journey could just be a means to cope with my existentialism. I make reference to an animated film called The Plague Dog, specifically the ambiguity of its ending. The dogs are swimming away from the military hunting them and claim they can see an island, but us, the audience, are never told whether the island was real or not, hinting at the beginning of the film that when confronting death, false hope will indoctrinate into a creature's mind to keep them battling for their survival. The reason why I found this so eerie was because this was my subconscious giving me a psychological warning that if I continue this interest in nihilism, especially during this time in my life, then it will break me, begging me not to seek the dark truth that this existence has to offer. The reason why I remembered this dream and started thinking about it often again is because recently I found myself piquing an interest in that kind of philosophy again, and that is because of how I've been feeling recently. Uncertainty, feeling quite lost and quite empty, questioning myself in this entire spiritual journey, not knowing how much of it is really true and if it all really is only a trick that my mind is playing to protect me. It's when I realized that my mind has really done that my entire life, protected me from what will break me. I've just not been able to comprehend a lot of bad things that have happened to me. And could it be that it's piled up so much to the point where I have to rely on this spirituality to cope with all of it? People who are in psychosis never think they are themselves, so this is a question I have to ask myself. Like, has the spiritual journey been gifted to me because I'm able to be detached and maintain my peace? Or has it become a shield that I've built because reality feels too heavy to face it directly? That's the fear that keeps circling back. When talking about things perceived as abstract like dreams, spirituality, and the subconscious, it makes it easy to think that of my experiences. And no doubt, some of my past experiences were just a fabrication of the mind. But I think that was just me being reactive to this truthful meaning and trying to steer it one way instead of observing and seeing where it's supposed to lead me. But now I find myself questioning all of it. Yesterday I came home from a 12-hour shift. My living room was empty and I just sat on my couch and started thinking about it all. The way of the world, is it a land of love and fury or one of pain and pleasure? I really don't know what's next for me. How long I'll be able to maintain this peace and what I'm going to do after uni. How I'm going to be the man for my wife, for my children, if I even want to risk bringing more life into this uncertain world, if extreme attachment to said wife and kids would only bring me suffering. How am I going to work for the rest of my life? What am I even going to do? I have no passion except for the spirituality, and now I'm even starting to question that. I've never felt so lost and uncertain of the future until now. I have all these people around me that love and care for me, but still I feel like I'm all alone here. As I was deep in my thoughts and reflection, I got a message from my friend Alina. She had sent me a Monsters High and My Little Pony meme, each respectively saying, "You've got this asexual," and "You've got this mixed boy." The sheer timing of this message combined with the ridiculous nature of it was enough to break me out of the sadness and uncertainty and just start smiling. That this interconnected universe isn't just apparent now, but has been apparent in all my spiritual experiences that continue to reveal that they're coming from truth, and that this universe has been kind to me, aligning me with the best people. What I admire about Lena is how good she is. She's considerate, kind, happy, and she's low-key a cartoon character, I'll be so real. She kinda reminds me of Kat from Victorious. She has very good traits that come naturally to her. It's nice having a purely platonic girl friendship because it can bring out better aspects of yourself through them. The spiritual balance of masculine and feminine within. Her message was a reminder that I really do have this. If you're still watching this video, then you likely already know my beliefs. That this wasn't a confrontation of the void, but rather that there is a life beyond the physical. That this was a spiritual message intended to get me back on track, as opposed to this dead end. And to be honest with you, I'm only going to continue thinking this way. My spiritual experiences only keep getting more and more concrete, implying that there is a structured system behind the subconscious, and that we are internally built in the pursuit of our soul's calling that promotes the most healthiest and sane living possible. I really need to lock in this month since it's Ramadan and try my best to reap all the spiritual benefits that this sacred tradition has to offer. And from here, I hope I'll be able to distinguish what dreams are coming from truth and what dreams are not. And I guess if I'm wrong and all my dreams are only connected to me and nothing else, and it's still quite interesting, is my subconscious scavenging anything it can to create the illusion of a meaningful existence? Maybe I took the phrase following your dreams a bit too literally, but nonetheless, I know the truth, and I know I'm tapping into something, and looking away from it isn't something I'm going to keep doing.